Good evening. I'd like to call to order the January 14th, 2015 school committee meeting. The time now is 6:30 p.m. We'll be entering into executive session to continue discussion relative to collective bargaining with employee groups and individual employees and the strategy be followed in or continued ongoing litigation. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second. This requires a roll call vote. Mr. Francis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Cutlass, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mrs. Puccia, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. We'll be entering into executive session. We'll be returning for our regular school committee meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you. Welcome. I would like to call to order the January 14th, 2015 school committee meeting. The time now is 7:02 p.m. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to ask our honored guests this evening, which is the boys soccer team, the girls varsity field hockey team, and the girls varsity volleyball team to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this point, I would like to turn the presentation over to Dr. O'Connor to honor our guests this evening.
Thank you. We have a number of student athletes from Tewksbury Memorial High School here this evening, and we're going to recognize what I consider to be outstanding seasons for our boys' spring soccer team, our girls' varsity field hockey, and our girls' varsity volleyball team. With the students, we have the coaches as well, and we have a proclamation we'd like to read, and we also would like to welcome all the parents that came out this evening as well. So, guys, gals, I have all of the names here. I'm going to read them. I haven't practiced. If I miss, I do apologize. Marco Aguilera, Brandon Alves, Ryan Bain, Jack Bicknell, Connor Blair, Andrew Boudreau, Joshua Cabral, Connor Callahan, Jeffrey Carr, Connor Dane, John Donovan, Eric Gallant, Amin Calcorn, Ben LaFortune, Matthew Limos, Andrew Laszlo, Connor McLean, Christopher McCabe, Dan McColgan, Nicholas McKeon, Ryan Murphy, Peter Nakapoulos, Kyle Parquette, Rafael Perez, and Mohammed Yatin. Coach Chris Burns, come on out. We have a proclamation. Why don't you go see if you can get it on camera? Wait now and see it. They didn't follow my directions.
Resolution of recognition. Whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School boys soccer team, a group of 25 athletes, advanced to the 2014 Division III North semifinals, and whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School boys soccer team, under the direction of Coach Chris Burns, Assistant Coach Pat Bernardo, and Assistant Coach Dan Saunders, demonstrated hard work, sportsmanship, perseverance, and character throughout the season. And whereas the Tewksbury Memorial High School boys soccer team won the 2014 Division III North quarterfinals, and whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School boys soccer team has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to themselves, to their parents and families, and to Tewksbury Memorial High School and to the town of Tewksbury. Now therefore be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the outstanding achievement of the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School boys soccer team, Coach Burns, Assistant Coach Bernardo, and the Assistant Coach Saunders. Congratulations.
Chris, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, girls varsity field hockey. Coach Pat Reiser is in the house tonight. Come on out, Mrs. Reiser. All right, Amanda Aylwood, Amanda Brown, Emily Donahue, Megan Donahue, Cora Gagnon, June Garcia, Kathleen Garcia, Alexander Kelly, Jessica Leggerio, Nicole Leggerio, Amanda Lobsian, Lindsay McCarthy, Bethany Murphy, Catherine Ozek, Chelsea Pellegrino, Carly Slavin, Natalia Stabersky, Kayla Vonkel, and Taylor Ward.
I apologize if I mispronounced these names. This is a resolution of recognition. Whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Field Hockey Team, a group of 19 athletes, Amanda Elwood, Amanda Brown, Emily Donahue, Megan Donahue, Cora Gagnon, June Garcia, Kathleen Garcia, Alexandra Kelly, Jessica Legerio, Nicole Legerio, Amanda Lobson, Lindsay McCarthy, Bethany Murphy, Catherine Ozek, Chelsea Pellegrino, Carly Slavin, Natalia Stabersky, Kayla Von Kahl, and Taylor Ward advanced to the 2014 Division II North semifinals. And whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Field Hockey Team, under the direction of Coach Pat Reiser, demonstrated hard work, sportsmanship, perseverance, and character throughout the season. And whereas the Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Field Hockey Team won the 2014 Division II North quarterfinals. And whereas the Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Field Hockey Team and Coach Reiser pay special tribute to athletes Amanda Brown and Carly Slavin, as they were named to the 2014 National Field Hockey Coaches Association High School National Academic Squad. And whereas Amanda Brown and Carly Slavin are the recipients of the Joanne Paquette Massachusetts State Field Hockey Coaches Association Academic All-Star Squad. And whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Field Hockey Team has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to themselves, to their parents, and their families, to the Tewksbury Memorial High School, and to the town of Tewksbury. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the outstanding achievement of the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Girls Field Hockey Team and Coach Reiser.
All right, Jim Ray, varsity coach, is here. Is Emily York, the assistant coach, here as well? No, she's not. Well, come on out, Jim. And starring on the girls' varsity volleyball team are as follows: Virginia Barnes, Nora Butler, Delaney Chisholm, Marissa Conlon, Lindsay Cossar, Carly Downey, Jordan Ezekiel, Adriana Favreau, Melissa Mockworth, Catherine McVie, Krista Noyes, Kendall Paella, Nicole Petherbridge, Amanda Reckby, Molly Robertson, Isabel Simone, Erin Walsh, and Karmir Zahari.
Resolution of recognition. Whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Varsity Girls Volleyball Team, a group of 18 athletes, advanced to the 2014 Division II North first round of the state tournament. And whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Varsity Girls Volleyball Team, under the direction of Coach Jim Ray, demonstrated hard work, sportsmanship, perseverance, and character throughout the season. And whereas the Tewksbury Memorial High School Varsity Girls Volleyball Team won the 2014 Division II North preliminary round of the state tournament. And whereas the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Varsity Girls Volleyball Team has brought great pride, recognition, enthusiasm, and honor to themselves, to the parents and families, to Tewksbury Memorial High School, to the town of Tewksbury. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Tewksbury School Committee applauds, honors, and recognizes the outstanding achievement of the 2014 Tewksbury Memorial High School Varsity Girls Volleyball Team and Coach Jim Ray. Thank you.
And just on a final note, before we get you all home to do your homework, we really appreciate all of the recognition that you bring to Tewksbury. You know, I love opening the Lowell Sun and seeing Tewksbury students on the front page in the sports section. And we've been fortunate the last couple of years that our teams have just been doing tremendous out on the playing fields and on the courts, and we've made the papers a lot. I'm sure a lot of you have all the clippings and so forth, and you'll keep those for the next 30, 40, 50 years, hopefully in a box, and you pull them out when your kids were in high school. Let me show you what I did. So we really appreciate everything you're doing, and I hope the next time we're here recognizing you, the seniors, we hope it's that you're the Abigail Adams and John Adams scholarship winners, you juniors out there and sophomores. Not only do we expect you to do great out in the fields and on the courts, but we also expect you to do great in the classrooms as well. So thank you for being great ambassadors for Tewksbury, and parents, again, thank you for just doing a great job with your kids. Now it's homework time. Thank you, guys. A lot of people. It's good. Stop thinking about it. Yeah.
At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our student representative, Greg Cash, to give us his Tewksbury Memorial High School report.
Thank you. Notes from Tewksbury Memorial High School. International Club is running their Souls for Souls shoe drive from January 20th to January 30th. Student Council ran Principal's Day last week. Ms. Vogel was very surprised and she tweeted out her thanks to us. The Teens for Jeans drive will take place in the first week of February, and we're also getting ready for the state conference in March. The National Honor Society has tutoring on Tuesday afternoons and Friday mornings in the library. The Senior Class Council is selling merchandise. DECA had their district conference yesterday at the Chelmsford Radisson, and Tewksbury had 14 students qualify for the state conference in Boston. That will take place in March. SAD is looking to create posters to support a positive body image. And on Tuesday evening, January 13th, approximately 80 students at TMHS participated in the new program offered by the Larrabee librarian, Mary Eldrenhoff. Final study night was developed to give students an opportunity to study during the finals week. That evening, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., students were able to study quietly in the library, work with study friends in the computer lab, or be monitored by 32 returning experienced TMHS alumni. The response to this event was definitely positive, and it is anticipated that a second event will be hosted at the end of the spring semester. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Grady. Have
Thank
a
you.
wonderful night.
You too.
At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. O'Connor for the presentations this evening.
Well, this evening we're planning on a budget presentation. Unfortunately, we're going to have to postpone that budget presentation this evening. There are a number of issues that we are dealing with in preparing our budget that has resulted in this delay. We are still working very closely with the town manager to finalize numbers, health insurance, student out-of-district tuitions, and a number of other areas in our budget that we just don't feel comfortable enough right now to present that to you, and we would like to do so at our meeting on the 28th of January.
Yes.
And we're very confident that we will have a full budget presentation for you that evening.
Thank you, Dr. O'Connor.
The other presentation, we did, I was expecting a visitor, but I do not see that visitor, so she may arrive, and I would ask that we just break for the, or alter the schedule and allow me to introduce that individual.
That sounds wonderful. We can suspend it and go right back up to that if she does arrive.
Sure.
Thank you, Dr. O'Connor. Regarding Citizens Forum, are there any citizens wishing to speak this evening, Dr. O'Connor?
No one contacted me, but we do have some visitors this evening.
Is there anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak?
Nope. Okay.
Okay, seeing nobody, moving right along, our clerk, Mr. Cutlass, will present the minutes.
Thank you.
I move the December 10th, 2014 regular school committee meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to move the December 10th, 2014 regular scheduled meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
And I have one abstention. Thank you, Mrs. Puccio.
All right, then I'll move the December 10th, 2014 executive session minutes.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to approve the December 10th, 2014 executive session minutes. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstention.
And I have again one abstention. Thank you, Mrs. Puccio.
And I'll move the December 23rd, 2014 special meeting minutes.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to approve the December 23rd, 2014 special meetings. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. That's unanimous vote.
And I'll move the December 23rd, 2014 executive session minutes.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the floor for the December 23rd, 2014 executive session minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. That's another unanimous vote.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Cutlass.
Okay, I'll move the payroll for the period ending December 18th, 2014 in the amount of $1,156,354.95.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second on the floor for the approval of the payroll period ending December 18th, 2014. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. That's unanimous vote.
All right, now move the payroll for the period ending December 31st, 2014 in the amount of $1,145,455.74.
Second.
I have a motion, I have a second on the floor to approve the payroll period ending December 31st, 2014. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Again, that's unanimous vote. Thank you, Mr. Cutlass.
Thank you, Mr.
Moving right on to the consent agenda. Is there anyone wishing to take anything off the consent agenda this evening? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent
I'll
agenda?
make that motion, Madam Chair.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Moving right along, over to you, Dr. O'Connor, for our superintendent and staff reports this evening.
Okay, I do have a number of items I'd like to share with you. First of all, Project Explore is a Shawshene Tech program where our students are invited, our 8th grade students are invited to spend time at Shaw Tech exploring the various career programs that are available there. In the past, many, many years ago, that program involved part of the school day. And I know at one time, just as I was arriving, the committee asked that students not be allowed to be pulled out of the regular classroom day to go to Shaw Tech. They are requesting that our students miss approximately 20 to 30 minutes of school time. And in consultation with the principal, Mr. Weir, we feel as though that is not necessary, that our students can attend the the Project Explore at Shaw Tech when the school is dismissed. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. I'm sure this will cause some concern on the part of the staff at Shawshene Tech, but class time is important. I think it's appropriate that if our kids want to explore, they can do so on their time and not necessarily on our time. You may have a difference of opinion, and if you do, feel free to call me, email me, or drop into the office at any time.
Thank you, Dr. Cronin. I'd just like to add on that note that we continue to work with Shawshene Tech, and I think our relationship continues to be a little bit stronger. I think that your recommendation is very reasonable. I think that there is ample time for families and parents to visit Shawshene Tech, and they do evening opportunities as well. And I do think that the focus here in our district has always been on instructional time, and that's something that's very precious to us. So I appreciate your candid feedback. I know as a committee, we appreciate that for both you and Mr. Ware making that important decision for our students. So thank you.
Thank you. Also in your packet, there was an invitation to the Valley Collaborative. They are having a special education forum involving a number of our elected officials at the state level. That is taking place on January 22nd at 9 a.m. I plan to be in attendance. If people would like to go, would you please let me know and I can pass that on to them. I know Mrs. Puccia is interested. Mrs. Palomino? Okay, great. The first annual Trahan National Geographic Bee will take place on Friday, the 23rd at 9:30 a.m. If you have your thinking caps on and you'd like to attend, we would encourage you to do so. I mentioned, or I would like to mention that our special education law firm that we deal with, Lyons and Rogers, would like to meet with the committee in executive session to talk about litigation and a contract that is under discussion. It is a very costly contract for the community, and I'm recommending that we meet with them next Wednesday at 3 p.m. In executive session in my office. Mrs. Johnson will post that tomorrow. There's plenty of time because it's Wednesday, and we will have just one item. The agenda will be talking about ongoing litigation and a contract negotiation. The TMHS winter athletic schedule is out. Trifold, you've seen it, it's online. I will tell you, Mr. Druin is doing an outstanding job of reorganizing the communication tree within the Tewksbury Public Schools as it relates to our athletic department. I know we already have a Twitter account, and I think at last look, Ronnie had somewhere in the vicinity of 300 followers on his Twitter account, and he hopes to expand that. Today we had a discussion about establishing a district Twitter account, and we have a meeting next week with Mrs. Regan, myself, Mr. Castangwe, who is very excited about helping the district set up a Twitter account so that those 5:30 or 6 o'clock phone calls in the morning could be little beeps on your phone letting you know that there is no school today or a school delay. So we will be setting that up, and I would like to just thank Ronnie Druin for the work that he is doing. I can tell you he has his hands full. We've given him a number of assignments, and he is doing, as I said, a tremendous job of whipping this athletic department, sort of getting it into the 21st and 22nd century, or wherever we are. Tickets for the father-daughter dance are available. The dance was on February 4th at the Tewksbury Country Club. This is a hot ticket in town. It's probably one of the hottest tickets in town. I know they've sold out on the last several years, so if you are interested in attending, make sure you stop into Community Services or go online and order your tickets. I did mention earlier that we will be doing that budget presentation on the 28th. We are going to, Mrs. Johnson will also make note of this, that we are going to scrap the workshop, and we will establish it as a regular meeting, which will allow for audience participation, et cetera, et cetera. Plus, there are a couple of business items that we might want to address at that time. Also, at that meeting, we will be voting on the request by citizens to name the center court at Tewksbury Memorial High School in honor of Anthony Romano. Mr. Romano was a 38-year veteran of the Tewksbury School Department. He was a coach here at Tewksbury High School. He was also a teacher and administrator, 25 years as an assistant principal. I believe he served a year or so as the acting principal as well. Tony also coached recreational league. He also coached at the collegiate level at UMass Lowell and did quite a lot for Tewksbury youth basketball over the years. I believe the committee that you have established has looked at the rationale, the data to support the nomination of the court, and I am confident that there will be a positive response from the school committee. It looks as though we will be targeting February 3rd at 7 p.m. here during the Methuen Tewksbury Memorial High School Redmond basketball game to have that honor of naming the court in honor of Mr. Romano, who tragically passed away 3 months ago. So it was just a short while ago, and I know his family is very touched and excited, and we will be in contact with them to make all the arrangements for that dedication. And then finally, I have to alert the community to a couple of issues that have arisen in the last 5 weeks that have causing us to make some serious changes to some recommendations that I had made to the school committee. As you know, I've been very confident over the last year or so that we might be able to introduce full-day kindergarten at no expense to every family in the community. We, with your blessing, established a task force to look at everything from space issues, equipment, materials, interest, cost of kindergarten, and we all came away from our various meetings, again, very confident that we will be able to implement full-day kindergarten. Unfortunately, over the last 4 weeks, as we are preparing to develop our 2016 school year budget, there have been a number of issues that have arisen in the budget that have caused us to take a very close look and has raised some serious concerns about the viability of our budget in 2016. We are looking particularly at special education costs as well as special education transportation costs, which have risen substantially in the last 18 months and projected going further will rise even further. With a significant deficit of almost $2 million, $1.8 million, I just do not believe that we can implement full-day kindergarten next year with this problem looming on the horizon. I want people to understand that our budget, 2015, the current year budget, we are in great shape. This is not impacting this year's budget, but it is impacting next year's budget. We have funds that will cover all of the increases in tuition, any increases in our operating budget, any increases in transportation. All of that is covered this year. We have no worries about our budget this year. It is the 2016 budget with significant increases in those areas of special education and special education transportation. It just is not the time for us to jump into full-day kindergarten. At 3:30, I met with many, not all, but many of the members of the kindergarten task force, including Mr. Cutlass and Mr. Francis were present, and I explained to them that it looks as though we will not be able to fund kindergarten for the 2016 school year. However, I'd like to come back at this time, a year from now, and look at it. Are there areas within our budget that we could reallocate to think about full-day kindergarten? It could happen a year from now. It could be 2 years from now. But I think at some point we'll be able to look down the road and see about the viability and possibility of full-day kindergarten for everyone in the community. So there was a lot of very disappointed people walking out of my meeting at 4:15 today. I certainly understand. There probably is no one in the community more disappointed in this than I am. I've been championing full-day kindergarten and have proposed a plan to you folks, talking to you way back almost 2 years ago about the feasibility of putting full-day in at the 2016 school year. But it just is not going to happen this year. I know we do have a representative from the press. We will be contacting the other media outlets to let them know that we will not be able to implement full-day kindergarten, so that that word can spread. If I send a letter home to families, which I will do, that's not going to reach those families who may not have children in the community. So we're going to look at using our media friends to help share that. I would also like to point out that even though we were in the midst of trying to sort through our budget issues, we did authorize a survey that our committee posted online in a variety of locations on our website. I believe the Patch, I believe the Town Crier, and a number of newspapers had links to the survey. We had just under 1,000 people respond to the survey. I think it was 975 surveys were returned. Overwhelming support for full-day kindergarten, including the 20 to 25% of the people who responded who had no children in the system, overwhelmingly in favor of free full-day kindergarten. We want to keep that survey. In fact, I've asked representatives on our committee to dig deep into that data and establish a report that will highlight the positive responses, and we will use that going forward as we attempt to look at kindergarten down the road a year from the next school year. We also had over 300 people respond with comments out of that 900. This was statistically a very positive response for a survey, and we were just very pleased with the data, and we are thrilled that there is a lot of support in the community for full-day kindergarten. If it weren't for these unexpected increases, we would be looking at doing that. But we just fiscally could not do both, address our budget deficit and put in full-day kindergarten, and expect to be on solid ground at the end of the 2016-17 school year. 2015-16 school year, excuse me. And that's it on my report. I'd like to turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent. Reagan?
Thank you. Well, on the note of kindergarten, it's important to inform all parents that our kindergarten registration program, as usual, is just around the corner. Most important is the Parent Kindergarten Information Night. It's scheduled for Wednesday, February 4th at 6:30 p.m. at the Tewksbury Memorial High School Auditorium. This is a very big week, that first week of February. This is an important night. The date has been posted to the district calendar. Following this information session, registration dates will occur at both the Dewing and Heathbrook schools in early March. Letters and kindergarten informational packets will be sent home to parents of incoming kindergartners next week. All of these dates and handouts will also be available on our district webpage and will be shared with our local preschools. We will, of course, use our One Call Now system and bulk email to inform all the parents of the Tewksbury Public Schools, too. Also in that first week, again, as I said, it's a big week in the Tewksbury Public Schools, an ALICE training information night for parents and community members will occur also at the Tewksbury Memorial High School at 6:30 p.m. in the auditorium. We have a comprehensive presentation prepared for parents by the Tewksbury Police Department and the Tewksbury Public Schools District Security Team. I'm most excited to tell you that we will premiere student-created training videos. Students from both the Ryan School and the Tewksbury Memorial High School have produced training videos that will be used in our student trainings later in the spring in our schools. So there will also be an opportunity for parents to ask questions at the end of the presentation and to see what other important safety procedures the district security team is focused on. Next week, we will invite all parents and guardians to this event through a joint letter from the superintendent and the Tewksbury Police Chief using all of our customary communication methods. I did want to mention, in preparation for the park exam, and we know that this is a big undertaking for the district, on Friday afternoon, right before the holiday break, administrators from every school, as well as teachers from all of our schools, attended a park training on from the Department of Education. They were led through key features of the park assessment design and how to access the park practice tests. They had an opportunity to try out some of these new features, and these trainings are most useful as the teachers implement them in their classroom. So again, I just want to remind parents, two very, very important training nights on the kindergarten information nights. February 4th at 6:30 at the Tewksbury Memorial High School for kindergarten information, and then February 5th, Thursday night, for the ALICE information for parents. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Reed.
Mrs. Matthews?
Well, as far as I go, all the budget stuff was pretty much said by Dr. O'Connor, so I don't read that. I just want to let the community know that we have a system for cafeteria. We have a pay-PAM system for paying for the lunches. Right now, we have a microwave system, which is on top of all of the schools, and the town uses it as well as a networking system. It keeps on crashing this week. The town knows about it. As soon as the schools go online, the police radio system and the record system crashes at the same time. They are working on it, so right now our pay-PAM system is down at all of the schools except Ryan. We are keeping track of everything. There is no child that will go without a lunch, but I just wanted the community to know that the town knows about it and they are working to resolve it. And then I'll be all set on the 28th, hopefully for a full budget presentation.
Thank you, Mrs. Matthews. Moving right along to committee reports. Do we have anything for the high school building committee?
Nothing to report tonight.
Mr. Cummings?
No, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to make an announcement that as far as the Green Committee, we've changed. Mrs. Puccia will now be representing the school committee as the Green Committee contact. So with that being said, is there any updates, Mrs. Puccia, on the Green Committee?
The Green Committee met on January 8th. They were speaking about the upcoming grant cycle. One of the thoughts was to develop a survey and send it out to all the building managers throughout the town to see what each individual building was looking for as far as projects were concerned. That way they could gather some information for the upcoming grant cycle in March. Loretta Ryan will be creating a Facebook page for the Green Committee with all the information on each one of the members and all the exciting things going on with the Green Committee. And at their next meeting, which is scheduled for February 8th at 5:30 at the Senior Center, the project manager, I believe his name's Charlie L., will be at the next meeting to go over the projects that have been completed and talk a little bit about the upcoming grant cycle, and that's all I have for that.
Great, thank you, Mrs. Puccia. I have a few announcements regarding the Tewksbury Education Foundation. First off, I'd like to make the announcement that the 2014 school-wide auction raised over $45,000 for our schools. So we certainly appreciate all the hard work and the efforts of the Tewksbury Education Foundation and all the volunteers that made that possible. They're currently working with Dr. O'Connor and his administrative team right now to fulfill all the STEM initiatives that were identified across the district where that money would be going towards. So again, we thank them for that. They also want to mark your calendars. They've already secured the date for the 2015 school-wide auction, and that's going to be November 20th, 2015. And they've already determined that they're going to raise money for STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math for the upcoming auction. So that's actually great news. And again, we thank them. That's a great initiative. We know we can continue in that area. Also, the spelling bee is set for June. For those people that missed it last year, it was a great event, and we hope people in the community will come out to that again. So they're working hard on that. More information will be coming. And also recently, the Tewksbury Education Foundation Board was able to secure a grant from the Tewksbury Cultural Council for over $400 that will be used, some of that money in the spelling bee. So we want to shout out a special thank you to the Tewksbury Culture Council for helping us continue to do great things for all our students. So again, thank you to the Tewksbury Education Foundation. They continue to do a lot of hard work for our district, and we certainly appreciate that. Moving right along, Mrs. Puccia, do we have anything, or Mr. Francis, for the Tewksbury Special Education PAC?
We actually, the next scheduled meeting is March 18th, and Mr. Francis may have mentioned at the last meeting. That'll be 8:45 in the superintendent's office. And just to mention that the Special Education PAC had a basic right workshop last night. The Federation for Children with Special Needs actually did a presentation, and they had over 30 people attend, which was really great. They want to let the community know that they'll be hosting a transition workshop on Tuesday, February 10th, from 7 to 9 at the Lynn School Library, and that will also be hosted by the Federation for Children with Special Needs. And that's all I have for that.
Thank you, Mrs. Puccia. Please extend our thanks to all the people that work hard in the Tewksbury Special Ed PAC for continuing providing those opportunities for our families here in the district. We appreciate that. We've already talked about the full-day kindergarten task force. I didn't know if there was either members of the school committee who would like to add anything on top of what Dr. O'Connor already explained.
The only thing I'd like to mention, as Dr. O'Connor explained, many of these task force and subcommittees, the enthusiasm of this committee was tremendous. You can see the disappointment tonight, but I think they realized that why it was happening. The other thing, too, that I think is important to remember with the surveys that went out, it's a great basis for when we do move forward. We formed the committee, we know what we're trying to do. Surveys will give us many ideas, maybe ideas in the future that we can implement as we move forward with it. But it was a great task force, great excitement, great enthusiasm. And most importantly, there was a lot of new people that were on that task force. Some of their children aren't even in the schools yet. So I thought that it was great work, and looking forward to continue it next year.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Yeah, we're going to keep it alive, and as soon as the financial picture is better, we'll bring it back again and we'll revisit it. And I'm sure we'll implement it at some point in the next few years, hopefully.
Thank you, Mr. Coase. We appreciate all the hard work that everyone who participated in the full-day kindergarten task force, and I'm sure we'll see that come back around again. So thank you. Mrs. Puccia will present the policy changes, proposals, and adoptions this evening.
Okay, so this is an informational reading. We're working on Section K, which is community relations. The following policies are being recommended to be rescinded due to changes in federal or state law, which makes them obsolete. KCD-E, grants and gifts, acceptance and expenditure. KIB, open house school committee meetings. And also in Section K, following policies are being recommended for revision. And that would be KBVA, non-custodial parents' rights. KCB, community involvement and decision-making. KCD, acceptance of gifts. KE, public complaints, instructional learning materials and discipline. KEB, public complaints about school personnel. KEB-R, public complaints about school personnel. KEC, public complaints about curriculum or instructional materials. KHB, advertising in the schools. KI, visitors in the schools. KIA, vehicles running on school property. KID, children of Tewksbury school employees. KLG, relations with police authorities. If anyone has any questions, concerns about those policies, they can contact Colleen and myself or the superintendent's office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Puccia. At this time, Dr. Cronin, would we like to suspend the agenda and call up our guest this evening?
We'd like to introduce our new state senator, Barbara L'Italian. Barbara, good evening.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming this evening.
Sorry I'm a little late, but tomorrow's the bill filing deadline for the 2-year session. So I was in Boston till about 7. So,
Well, welcome.
anyways, I'm here. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Good. So I just wanted to come in and just, mention that I got sworn in last week, and looking forward to working with all of you. I think it will be very interesting to see what happens with the new governor. I was there when he was sworn in, and he made some statements to the effect that he's going to be really aggressively pursuing the adoption of further charter schools in the state, which is something that last year, in terms of raising the cap, the House went along with, the Senate actually did not. And so I thought that's something that I'd bring to your attention, because you may share my opinion that additional charter schools really does not work to the advantage of suburban communities because of the current funding formula. So you may or may not share that opinion, but we just went through this exercise a year ago when I was a member of the Andover School Committee. And as a result, actually, of a pretty proactive approach by both the teachers union, the school committee, and the school superintendent, that particular approach wasn't even brought up for consideration or a vote in Andover. But I just think it's something you want to keep your eye on. There is the Education Committee, both chairs, Senate Chair Sonia Cheng Diaz and House Chair Alice Peisch, are touring around the whole state, looking at the whole funding formula and reviewing that finally after years and years and years of folks from suburbia asking that happen. They are in process of doing that. I think they had a hearing back on January 10th, and I believe there's another one upcoming in the Metro West area in about 2 weeks, and I can certainly send you that information if you're not. Are you getting that from the Superintendent's Association or MASC or anything?
Yes.
Okay, so you have it. Okay. I just don't know if there'll be a hearing closer to us or not, but certainly we can ask for one if that's something that you'd like, or you're free to go down and offer input on that as well. We don't know what committee assignments we'll have yet, at least on the Senate side. I put in my recommendations last Friday, but hope to serve on the Education Committee, having served as a school committee member and a House member. I feel like I have a pretty broad perspective on all of this, but that I think I'll know in about another week or so. But certainly, regardless of whether I land on the Education Committee or not, I'm here to work with the school committee, the superintendent, the administration, and certainly the families here in the town to reflect whatever your concerns are up at the state level. So although I'm a new person in the Senate, I'm not a new person to the legislature. So I have sort of that advantage of knowing the process, the budget, legislation, and all of that. So put me to work with what you need me to work on. Happy to do it. Happy to answer any questions for you. I do think that, we'll monitor over the next month or so to what degree there continues to be a budget gap. There was an estimate of about $329 million in the fall as the previous governor was looking to close out prior to him leaving. He solved about $200 million of that through unilateral 9C cuts that are within his executive power purview. And then there were some other agencies that agreed to make some cuts. I believe there were two things that touched education. One was regional school transportation, and the other was the extraordinary circuit breaker account that's there for, unusual and extraordinary expenses. But there was no cut, to my knowledge, to the circuit breaker account or Chapter 70. But
We're pleased about that.
I know.
Trust me.
Yes. There was a proposed cut to local aid, which would have required a vote of the previous legislature, which was sort of punted to this session. And the new governor has said that he does not want to make cuts to local aid. So we'll just have to monitor that and keep our eye on it and see what's proposed and what the impacts might be. So it'll be a really interesting session. I personally have never worked with the new governor before. I'd worked with Governor Romney, Governor Patrick, and so remains to be seen, although he did allude to, as I mentioned in his opening remarks last week, his want to pursue more charter schools, and certainly I believe the appointment of Dr. Pizer would indicate that, because he did serve during the Romney administration, and he was a very big proponent when he was on the Board of Ed. So I think just things to be aware of and to keep our eye out on. I am happy to answer any questions for you or any things. I know from some of the conversations I had both this year and 2 years ago, I have somewhat of a feel for the issues that you're concerned about, but would love to, be kept in the loop and be further informed on what it is you are concerned about, what you want me to work on, etc.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. Do you have any comments from any of the members? Mr. Cutlass?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lieutenant. I'd like to congratulate you for your election to him. That'd be great.
And I'll leave some cards for all of you, so you've got my contact information.
Yeah. One area we could use some help, I think we've submitted a statement of interest for our elementary schools to the MSBA,
Right.
and we weren't selected this time, but we're allowed to resubmit again, so anything you can do in that regard.
Great. Well, I was here for your opening 2 years ago for this beautiful school. I worked after being a House member with Treasurer Grossman and sat in on weekly meetings with the SBA. They were one of the department heads, as was I, so I'm very familiar with Jack McCarthy and the whole process. And we just opened a new elementary school, the Bancroft, in my hometown of Andover. So happy to be helpful in any way that I can with that.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Cutlass. Anyone else comments? Mr. Francis?
Thank you, congratulations.
Thanks.
One of the things I think moving forward, and I always bring this up, but I think what's being the drain as a former school committee person, you can attest to this, is the continuing unfunded mandates that come out from the state. And I think that as we move forward, as budgets are getting tighter and tighter, I think before some of these programs that they want the cities and towns to implement, without funding it, we have to take a hard look.
I agree, and that's heard universally from every town board, school committees aren't the only ones that feel that that's a real issue. So it's something that I try to be cognizant of as I'm looking at legislation, either to sponsor or to lead on, or, as things are making their way through the pipeline. It's something we have to be very sensitive to.
Thank you, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Francis.
Just say congratulations and look forward to working with you in the upcoming years.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the time. I really appreciate it. I guess just one other thing that I think we need to be aware of, because I know there was lots of discussion here a couple of months ago, and in fact I came and just took a seat in the back when you did the presentation on Park and Common Core. That remains to be seen whether or not Park will be adopted by this new administration, and there was some There was an article to that effect in the State House News Bureau today. So that's another area I think we'll all be monitoring to see whether or not that's chosen to go forward. Just an open question as well. I will say my hometown, Vandover, does, we were also a park tester for last year and for this year as well. And so, I certainly enjoyed coming to your presentation. I thought that was really well done back. Was it late November, early December? I forget now, but I was here.
When we were
Doing your
downstairs,
overview on
yes,
all of it, and I
thank you.
took all the handouts, and so I have all of that. So, but I think that's another thing that with a new administration, that's an unknown whether or not where we'll go with that. Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
We just
Thank you.
thank you again. Congratulations on your recent election.
Thank you.
We do all look forward to working with you and building a relationship with you. And as you know, we're very vocal, so you will be hearing probably from this
I
school
think that's
committee
great.
as we look forward to working with you just to continue to make our schools the best they can be.
Great.
So thank you for coming and taking this initiative this evening.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
I will say that I only heard wonderful things about all of you from my predecessor, Barry Feingold, who I think served this community very well. And, very honored and proud to succeed him. And so, I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice night.
Thank you.
Okay, on to old business. I'm going to turn that right over to you, Dr. O'Connor, regarding the accountant's report.
Yes, I'll have Mrs. Matthews just briefly talk about the report and the work that we're doing on this.
Yeah, we've pretty much completed everything. I don't know if you remember, back in November, I presented a draft of the audit. The audit hasn't changed, except the fact that now it reflects all of our responses in there as well. So we have gotten a draft, and we have responded to every one of their findings. And just to give you a little bit of the history, the auditing guidelines changed back at the end of spring of 2014. We were one of the very first districts to have the brand-new audit, so we knew that there were going to be findings coming. It was just kind of for us to use as a baseline as to where we need to go to be in compliance with all these. So between the town treasurer and Assistant Principal Osborne, we kind of sat down together with the Director of Finance, Mr. Libby, and myself to kind of go over all these findings and figure out exactly what we needed to do in order to become in compliance. So if you do, I don't want to have to go through all of these. I know that you have them, I'm sure you've looked them. But all of the recommendations, we have followed all of the recommendations. We have closed out the accounts that we needed to close out. We've moved the funds we've needed to. We've put precautions in where we have 4 different people handling the account now, so there's no overlapping of responsibilities. And we've back and submitted that to Melanson and Heath, and they are confident with everything that we've done, and they've just kind of put it into an audit form for you. And it's kind of how we're moving forward with the accounts now. Are there any questions about the audit when you look through it?
Is there anyone that has any questions?
I just have one quick question.
Sure.
When you say the account being reviewed periodically, what's periodically? Is it quarterly, is it annually?
Because I am not one of the 4 people with my hands in it. Every June, I will do an internal audit. Every 3 years, we have to have an outside auditor come in because the fund has more than $25,000 in it. So it will be internally audited by us every year. And every 3 for that.
The one question that I have is, in reading this, because I do remember it back in November, so I, certainly marked mine up. So are you telling me that all the work is completed, or what portions of this is not completed in this report?
The one portion that is not completed is we are in the middle of adopting a school committee policy and procedures. We will have that done. Yep, we will have that done by the end of this spring, and then we will present it to the school committee because it has to be adopted by you.
Okay, terrific. So all the other ones that we read through in the recommendations have been completed, with just the exception of the one policy.
Yes, because you had, in previous school committee meetings, you guys have voted to move some funds and to close some accounts. So yes, we have gone through and everything. And we've ordered new forms. They had asked us to do new deposit slips and new transfer forms. We've already ordered those. They're already implemented.
Okay, and then that independent audit that I read about in here, or, having somebody else come in and look at that student activity, has that person been identified, or who will be doing that?
This is the independent audit. Melanson Heath is the independent auditor.
Going forward, though?
Yeah, I thought one of the recommendations was that we.
Oh,
had-
that's the internal audit. They said that we
Correct.
had to have an internal audit, which I will be doing because
Okay,
I'm
so
not one of
you-
the 4 people.
Okay.
And then
that-
every 3
And
years,
every 3
we
years.
go outside and hire, like a Melanson Heath or Powers and Sullivan, or, there are half a dozen auditing firms around that would do this work.
And what would be that procedure? Will you bring that to the school committee and say we plan on hiring so-and-so at X amount of dollars, or that'll happen every 3 years?
It will happen every 3 years. I will come to you and let you know what we need to do and what the total cost will be.
Okay, perfect.
And just to point out that this was not a recommendation exclusively for the Tewksbury Public Schools, that schools all over Massachusetts, as a result of the auditor
guidelines.
and new guidelines that have come out, are revamping the way they handle funds within the schools.
And I can also tell you that there are a couple of us within the district that went to a new course regarding the guidelines and new things, but we also had people on the town side go to the same course, so they could learn the same rules, how they got changed.
And the one other question that I did have that was floating around in my mind was the cash flow. Are we accepting cash for student activities, for, the cash flow and the,
We do.
and what is the procedure for that? Because I didn't see that in the document.
We do have a procedure where one person accepts it, it goes in, if we can't get it into the bank that day, let's say it's after hours and there's gate receipt, like if there's some sort of receipts that come in, we do have a safe here. So we have the one person accept it, we have another person that puts it in a safe, another person that does the deposit.
And is that all documented? Like, do we have forms and everything? Because
We changed the forms, so
Yes.
we do,
Well,
so now
well,
we added another signature to the form, so the advisor, who's the one that passes in, they have to sign off if that's how much they're giving, the person receiving it has to sign off. We have the assistant principals that also have to sign off, as well as Principal Vogel.
Would you
Just-
mind just sending that to us electronically, just the forms that the actual sign up for the student activity? Because in reading the guidelines, I just think that would be helpful to see exactly what our staff is doing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Also,
I appreciate
keep in
that.
mind that in comparison to 3-4 years ago, we're taking in much less cash
Yes.
Yeah.
than we've ever done. And, schools, stores, and so forth, eventually will have swipe cards, the little Apple charge, and, we're trying to move away from cash as much as possible.
That's great, that's a great mission. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving right along to new business. That's over to you, Dr. O'Connor, for Alice.
I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Regan, and she's going to talk about a survey that was conducted recently.
If you turn to the second page, actually, important information for you to be aware of is the training plan. This Alice training plan, you've heard us talk about several times at these meetings, really started 2 years ago, and it started with the training of our Alice trainers. And where we are in this planning phase is with parent information, and we're ready to start with students. However, when we finish the training with our staff, which will be finished with all staff and related support staff by this Friday, we ask them to please fill out this form. Are there any additional concerns or questions they have that are individual to their room, to their hallway, to their school? And then we've compiled this information. And for example, some of the concerns that staff has are, what if my door opens out and not in? How am I shoving something in front of it? And you'll hear when you see the Alice training that that's part of the protocol. So Detective Gonzalez and the school resource officers and members of the Tewksbury Police Department are going to be visiting each school now to address the individual concerns. So we're really trying to be thorough in this process. And while we can't address literally every what if, we're trying to plan the best we can with again, Detective Gonzalez puts it this way: the the body can't go where the mind has not gone. So we're trying to think these situations through thoroughly. Okay?
Any questions on Alice? I don't know if you caught the news in the last 48 hours about a school district that is undergoing similar type training with staff and so forth, and they had already finished the final phase involving students, and a number of students and teachers came up with a great idea. One of the acronyms of Alice is counter. someone is trying to get in the room, you barricade. You know, if that person does come in, you throw things at them. Well, the school districts had every student bring in a canned vegetable, and they have them stockpiled in the classrooms. I thought that was maybe a little over the top, but I thought, you know, there was some students sitting around whether it was in Nebraska, Oklahoma, I can't recall where. But I thought that was a very creative way for a district to think about how to safeguard students. So there was another one recently where they were bringing in pots and pans to bang and to throw. And so I'm sure our students are going to have a lot of ideas on how we can create a safe environment here at school. So we'll make sure we pass those suggestions along to you as they arise.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it on Alice.
Moving right along, I think these are all yours, Dr. O'Connor,
They are.
any business?
The MSBA we talked about last meeting, I did not have the letter. At the time, I just received an email informal, but you have the letter. But just to let people know, at our January meeting, you will have the vote to submit the statement of interest. I will be getting that to the Board of Selectmen as well. There is a deadline coming up. We want to make sure we meet that deadline, and we will resubmit. I have learned that MSBA will be reopening the window for a very short period of time. There is some additional funds available for a small number of projects. Let's get right back on the horse and ride off, and we'll see if we can maybe crack that nut and get us a new school here in Tewksbury for our elementary kids. Teamsters Local 25 is interested in negotiating. I will send a letter back saying we are ready. We'll try to get some dates, and I will let committee members know who are negotiating with the Union 25, which I believe is the TAG group, but I'm not 100% certain.
It's TAG as well as
School nurses and TAG, right.
So Dr. O'Connor, nurses is Mr. Francis and Mrs. Puccia.
Right.
Actually, both are. Nurses and tag are both us.
Okay.
And I'll check with you folks for available dates, and we'll send it off to them as well.
I'm sorry, the TAG group is actually the Tewksbury Administration's group, and that's actually Mrs. Palomino and Mr. Cutler.
Oh, don't mind, I think they need. Okay, sorry.
You can follow up on that, that's the record that I have in front of me.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, I'll check, verify that. The next item, I already mentioned the Valley Collaborative. That letter is there, inviting you to the seminar. I hope that we can get there. You're going to find that there are a number of elected officials that will be present, and this would be a good opportunity to talk not only about the MSBA issue, but we can talk about special education circuit breaker, et cetera, et cetera. And then the last item is a lengthy document that came to us from the U.S. Department of Justice, the Civil Rights Division. I left this in your packet for you to read. It is a lengthy document talking about discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, sexual orientation, and religion in our public schools. There is also a section in here on our homeless and undocumented youth. That also is very extensive, and I think it's important for you to read, because you could hear from people, why is this particular student here in this district? If they are categorized as homeless, we take those children. If we have a student who shows up with no documentation, zero, we still take that student into our schools. That is federal law, spelled out very clearly in this document, and I would encourage you to spend a little time, review it. We've made sure every one of our administrators has this, and they have reviewed it as well. Any questions?
Nope. School committee matters of interest. We will start over to this evening with Mrs. Puccia. Do you have anything to discuss this evening? Thank you, Mrs. Puccia. Mr. Cutlass? Okay, thank you, Mr. Cutlass. Mr. Francis?
The only matter of interest, I believe, normally in Tewksbury, the election is always the first Saturday of April, but because it's also Easter weekend,
The election actually is not till the 11th, not the 4th, and I believe right now we have a meeting scheduled on April 8th for the reorg, so if indeed that is the case, then we should probably move that to the 15th.
Did you hear that, Mrs. Johnson? We're going to move the 8th to the 15th for April. Hold on. Is that school vacation week?
No, school vacation week's the following week.
Fine, perfect.
We had a meeting planned, we actually had a meeting planned anyhow for both the 8th and the 15th, so we just have to make sure that it gets relabeled to the reorganization will happen on the 15th instead of the 8th. So the meetings will still stay the same, it's just the.
Yeah, we'll have the reorg and then a regular meeting after.
You open it, you open the meeting, then close it.
Close it and then reconvene. Right.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. Just a couple of things I'd like to mention that I thought were different and that I saw in the district, and I'd just like to commend some people, is one of them was, I went to that Ryan presentation for safety for children, cyberbullying, and so forth. And I just really want to thank the Tewksbury Police Department, Mrs. McGinnis, Mr. Hart. They did a wonderful job at the Ryan School. I also love the fact that the administration was able to identify it was something good for the entire district. And they did get that out, and it was a good crowd. There was a lot of people there. I thought it was one of the best presentations I've yet to see here in the Tewksbury Public Schools, so I just wanted to commend the people on that. I also wanted to say I was very pleased to see the study night that got introduced here at Tewksbury Memorial High School. I know that's something new, and that was very creative, and I want to thank Mrs. Vogel for bringing that initiative forward in light of midterms and so forth. I think it's a nice safe haven for students to prepare for their midterms and give them an opportunity to be with some of their peers. So I thought that was wonderful. And lastly, on behalf of the school committee, we were very pleased to learn about the recent drug search with the dogs. I think that it goes without saying that we have a no tolerance here in Tewksbury Public Schools, and we love when people are working together, the Tewksbury Police Department, the administration team, to come in and to show people that we really do care about the safety within our schools and that we will not tolerate drugs. Continuing doing initiatives like that, we certainly appreciate. So those are just 3 recent events that are out of the unusual, and we wanted to thank you for doing that. Future school committee dates are, as we all talked about, we're going to move the January 28th school committee to not only, it's going to be the budget presentation as well as vote on the dedication for Anthony Romano.
And there may be other items as well.
Absolutely, yep, and we're going to move those items that we're going to be this evening to that meeting. And then future high school building committee dates, do we have any?
There's a meeting sometime in February, but not a formal date.
Okay, so we'll put that up as soon as it becomes available. Are there any future agenda items that anyone wishes to put on the agenda for the next meeting? Okay, I would encourage any school committee member, if you do see any future agenda items, please send those directly to Dr. O'Connor before the meeting. At this point, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second. I have a motion and I have a second to adjourn the school committee meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. Everyone have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to seeing you at the next school committee meeting. Thank you.